right, hello and welcome. This is the second episode of DMV Recruiting Insider Live. I'm Branden Roth, your host, and it was obviously a huge day in the DMV, especially for Terps fans. Terps got all three of their prospective targets today, and it's just a big day in general. You had a lot of good local kids making their decisions, and me, for being a Terps fan, I was really happy, obviously. I'm going to start off at the announcement I was at, which was at Jacquille Veii at the Avalon School. And it was a great day. I had the whole school there, and I had a fun time. You had Rashid Ibrahim, you had Jacquille Veii, and Tommy Vince all making their announcement. Tommy Vince went to Catholic. Rashid is going to Pittsburgh, and obviously everyone knows by now Jacquille's going to Maryland. Some people kind of poo-pooed that Jacquille's commitment was a big deal, but I thought it was. I mean, you're going up against the likes of Nebraska, and Iowa. I mean, with Maryland going to the Big Ten, that was obviously a big deal to win those recruiting battles. So I think it was a really good get for Maryland. He can contribute right away in the secondary and on special teams. So I think that was a really big deal for Maryland today. And I'm going to show you a few highlights from Jacquille's announcement today.
On my visit, I had a great time in Nebraska, I had a great time at Iowa, and I had a great time at Maryland as well. My goals and my aspirations, I want to win championships, and I also want to win bowl games as well. And obviously, the best place to do it would be, the better opportunity would be, I think I'm gonna stay home.
Wow.
And play football. Let's go, Maryland. Let's go, Maryland. Let's go, Maryland.
First of all, I want to thank you for having us here at Avalon today. Big moment for you. I know it's been a tough one. I know it's been a long road. Obviously, you're going to Maryland.
Yes, sir.
So you've made that decision now. Let's talk a little bit, and let's go backwards for a moment. We'll get to the now and the hat that you're wearing. But you decided Maryland before, and obviously there were some issues. You pulled back.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that. That must not have been easy for you.
No, definitely wasn't easy, but God has a plan for everybody, and that's just the road I had to go to get here.
Okay, so once that happened, once you reopened your recruitment, let's talk a little bit about some of the looks you got, some of the conversations you had. Obviously, Iowa rose high on your list. Why did Iowa rise so high on your list?
Just because the coaching staff there is great. They're really great people. Coach Wilson, he's a great person. He's a great coach as well, and Coach Ferentz, he's a great coach, and he's also a very, very nice person. And just the whole family feel that I got from Iowa, it was great. That's why they rose high on my board.
We're here with Jacquille Veii live at DMVSTREAM.COM. You just chose the Terps. Before we get to your decision and playing at Maryland, nearby here in College Park, Nebraska swooped in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I take full credit for this after announcing that we were going to do your decision live. I'm kidding. But obviously they get in the game, and that's a complete game changer. You cancel a visit to College Park.
Yeah.
You have Randy Edsall here the day before trying to convince you to stay home.
Yeah.
Everybody's freaking out. All the Terps are like, where is he going? What is he doing? That's got to be a tough couple of hours for you there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that last week running up to this and the visit to Nebraska.
Oh, the week running up to this was crazy. I mean, I came home. I was just sitting in my friend's car, and then I got a call from a coach saying that Nebraska wanted to talk to me. Called Nebraska, and they offered me right there. And the visit was great. I had a great time. I felt really at home at Nebraska, and I felt, and the players there, they were awesome, and the fans there, they speak for themselves. It's a great tradition. It's a great program, but I just felt like the best place for me in my heart was to be here and stay home and play.
Okay, so we're here now. We're future Teds. You are at Maryland. You're going to stay home. Branden does a lot of the recruiting stuff for us at DMVSTREAM.COM. Obviously, you got a chance to meet him quite a while ago, and Branden was big and instrumental in making this happen today. But Branden, you handle the football stuff with him now. You know that team better than anybody. Talk a little bit with Jacquille about where he fits in terms of on the field and some of the opportunities he may get early and maybe later.
I mean, have you talked to Coach Edsel yet about where you guys are going to have you play? Or
Yeah, they're looking at me as a defensive back.
have you talked at all about special teams or anything like that?
Definitely with Coach Powell. I know they saw what I ran at the camp, the one-day camp. So they're thinking about sticking me back there, me, Stephon, and Dion Long back there, and just going to terrorize kickoff teams.
And then, did that secondary situation, obviously, they lost a lot of guys this year. They don't have a lot of guys back there. Did that impact your decision, the immediate possibility of playing time?
Yeah, definitely, because I want to go out there and compete from day one and get on the field and contribute right away. And that's what I want to do.
All right, Jacquille, obviously, a big day for you here today. But let's go backwards again and talk about how we got here. Obviously we know now you're going to Maryland, but it was a rough road for you there. You decided to leave Richard Montgomery and you come here to a school. I read Brandon Parker's piece in the Washington Post today. It was a heck of a read. If you want to know more about this young man and what he's been through to get to this point, you can read that story. But you left a public school to come to a highly religious school in Gaithersburg that has, 100 kids, 40 of which I believe play football. Nobody's ever come out of this school. Obviously, you and Rashid put this place on the map, but let's talk about a 15, 16-year-old kid taking his recruiting stock in his own hand, and maybe what a lot of people thought you did was throw it out the window. How difficult of a decision was it to come here, and truthfully, why did you end up here?
It was very hard for me because I was taking a risk because nothing's guaranteed. But I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to achieve. So I just dove in, both feet in.
If you want to get a chance to get a shout out here during our live broadcast, the hashtag is DMVStream. We are monitoring.
All right, that was some highlights from Jacquille's big day. I want to say a quick thank you to Jacquille, of course, for allowing us to come out there, and Rashid and Tommy also. They also had big days. And I also want to say a big thank you to the Avalon School. They were very gracious to us today, helped us with whatever we needed, and provided us with a great venue. The reason I actually met Jacquille in the first place was I did a story for the University of Maryland on him, so I'd known him previously from that. And at the time, he was committed to Maryland, and I did the story on him going to Maryland, and then he decommitted, and I wasn't able to use the story. So I figured now would be as good a time as any to use the story. So let's look at this story I did on Jacquille earlier this fall going to Maryland.
One of the lesser-known signees in this year's Maryland football recruiting class may be a hidden gem. Meet Jacquille Veii. One thing that makes him special is his speed.
Explosive, electric. I like to make big plays, and I like to make the big hit. So just a playmaker, a person to watch is how I describe my play.
That's not all. His coach, Tad Shields, says he is extremely smart with a wealth of life experience.
He's lived in the islands, he's lived in England, he's lived in New York, he moved down here about 8th grade or so. So he's been around, and I think he has a little more worldly than your average 17, 18-year-old kid.
His father's work has required him to move a lot, but Jacquille has always embraced change.
Well, I was born in the Caribbean. I stayed there for 6 months when I was a baby. Moved to Africa, lived there for quite some time until I was, probably 5 years old. And then I moved to England because my dad got another job over there. So I stayed there up until I was 9 years old, 10 years old. Then I moved to New York, and then I moved back down to Maryland, and that's just been my life. I've just been moving everywhere. It's finally nice to settle down.
He currently plays at the Avalon School, a school of only about 100 students in Gaithersburg, Maryland, which is a world different than 20,000 plus in College Park.
And one of the disadvantages of playing at such a small school is they don't even have their own field. They practice right here at a local park.
Veii has the ability to come from a small school, but still contribute right away.
The way that Coach Etzel's directing the program in, I really think he's doing a really positive job with the program. My mom had a great time up there. She's been living here for a long time, and I guess she told me it's always been her dream for one of her children to go to the University of Maryland, and I'd be the first.
It may not be long before mother and son realize that dream. In Gaithersburg, I'm Branden Roth for Terrapin Time Out. one of the lesser-known signees in this.
All right, there was the story on Jacquille. Great story. Talked about how much he loved Maryland, and I think he kind of knew all along that's where he wanted to go. He just kept it under wraps. But obviously, Jacquille wasn't the only big get from Maryland today. Next big guy you have to think about is Yannick. Maryland got him today, too. He's going to come in and give us a pass rushing presence right from the bat. He's a great athletic kid. I've seen him last year at Carroll, and he did the same thing last year at Carroll where he's rushing the passer. This year at Friendship, he was sacking everybody. Any team he played against, it seemed like they had a hard time stopping Yannick. So he had a small commitment with only 20 kids committing to colleges at Friendship today. So let's look at a few highlights from that.
Terp Nation. Terp Nation.
In control a little bit over this situation.
Yeah, but I just had a good feeling in my heart about Maryland that I know it was going to turn around, so that's why I chose Maryland. I made a decision probably a couple months ago. I always knew I was going to go to Maryland, so just kept it quiet. And yeah, I felt like I rested a little bit, so that's why I decommitted, and I had a new top so I could like kind of psych everybody out to think I'm going to other places. So that's why I did that, and I wanted to take my time and make sure that Maryland was the right place for me to be after I took my official visit. It's very special, and it just, I mean, what can I say? It's just exciting, man. It's exciting moment, man.
All right, there were some comments from Yannick there at the end, and I think Yannick was probably the biggest get of the day for the Terps. They definitely needed someone to fill that pass rushing spot off the edge. They're going to get that in Yannick. That's his specialty, is rushing the passer, and he's the second most highly rated prospect in the Terps class behind Dion Long, so it just boosts Maryland's class up there, and I think Maryland's class ended up in top 30 at the end of the day at the Rivals class listing, so that's great for Maryland. And the last get of the day was Tavon Jacobs. It's kind of a last-minute deal. No one knew that was going to happen, but with him deciding to decommit from Ohio State and commit to Maryland, obviously that was a big get for him and makes Maryland's wide receiving core for next year look ridiculous. I mean, you're talking about Dion Long, Stephon Diggs, Tavon Jacobs, Marcus Leak, Nigel King. I'm sure I'm forgetting some people, but that's some great wide receivers there. And I mean, the talk of Tavon maybe having a leg injury, so he may redshirt next year. But either way, Maryland's wide receiving core for the future looks great. So I want to give a quick shout out to James Sherrill, who gave me the Yannick footage and also gave me some footage of Tavon. So let me show you that footage of Tavon real quick.
My name is Tavon Jacobs. I play for Suitland High School. Best fit for me. I mean, Maryland was a good school, great program, and it's special team. So
I don't think any of us knew that he was going to get as big as he was, but his brother was very good. And we're saying, I asked his brother one day. I said, "Do you think Tavon will ever be as good as you are?" And he said, "Coach, I think he's going to be better." And so I said, that's something for a brother to say. But
when I was 7, I seen my brother out there playing, and it really inspired me that I thought I could do it too. So, I mean, I had speed just like him, and I was agile too, so I thought I'd give it a try, and I was good at it.
He talks about his size, maybe another side, but he's a tough guy. I mean, really tough. I mean, so we're just happy to have him. He's a captain and a great addition to our team, and so we're looking for him to grow further through the end of the season, and then we'll see some good things from him in college.
All right, there was some commentary and highlights of Tavon. Thanks again, James, for that footage. And obviously, that was the unknown get that Maryland got on the day. I think his brother being at Maryland and also him becoming a new father really played into his decision to want to stay home. So we got the Terps got three great guys today: Jacquille, Yannick, and Tavon. I don't think anyone would have expected a week ago that our signing day would have been this memorable, but I think it definitely comes close to Stephon Diggs last year. So let's hope Maryland keeps going forward. We'll talk about the 2014 class here in a few minutes, but first I just wanted to touch on a couple other guys that committed today. E.J. Levenberry was another big guy that committed today. He committed to Florida State. There were some that thought he was taking a last-minute visit to Tennessee, so there were a few people that thought that there was a possibility maybe he would flip, but he ends up staying committed to the Seminoles. He was a four-star linebacker, formerly of DeMatha, a great get. Definitely a big get for Florida State. He's a guy that can come in physically and is ready right away. A really big physical kid, and that's a big get for Florida State. But then again, they always get big guys out of this area. So, other guy I wanted to talk about that committed was Marshall Nagash. He committed a week ago, but he committed to Albany. I think that was from good counsel, and he was a big get for Albany. Obviously, I mean, I think he had offers from UVA and some other D1 schools, and I was surprised at the Albany commit, but obviously I think he's going to go in there and start right away and maybe be one of their best players right away. He's a great kid. He was a great player this year. Made the All-Met watch a couple times at the Washington Post. Was all second team All-State selection if I'm not mistaken. So that was a big get. Albany doesn't get players of that caliber from big schools all the time, so big get for Albany there, and I'm going to move on forward, and we're going to talk about what else but 2014 signing day. You got the 2014 class is probably the biggest class I can remember in the past 2 or 3, 4 years. There's a lot of guys. I have some guys listed here, but there's so many of them. I don't even know if I can get to them all. The first guy, when you're talking about next year, 2014, you've got to talk about is Deshaun Hand. Probably is going to be the consensus #1 overall player on every rankings, whether it's Rivals, ESPN, Scout, 247, whatever it's going to be. He's probably going to be the #1 guy. A lot of guys saying he's the best prospect that's come out of high school since Jadeveon Clowney. So he plays for Woodbridge in Virginia. He's got down to a couple schools, Virginia Tech, Alabama, just to name a couple. I've heard there's been rumors out there that there's a possibility he could transfer to Friendship Collegiate. I don't know how true those rumors are, but that would definitely be an interesting move for Friendship if they could pull that. And if they could pull that, would that pull Maryland into the situation? Because Loxley obviously is starting to gain a foothold at Friendship, so that's definitely an interesting situation to monitor in the coming months. Keeping on the Friendship train, you got to talk about Jalen Tabor. Anytime you talk about Friendship, I know Terps fans have had a love-hate relationship with him because of his exploits on social media, but he's really a good kid. He's not as flamboyant as a lot of people would like to make out. He's got offers, again, just like Hand, from everybody across the country, 30, 40 offers, whatever it may be, and I think Maryland's got a really good chance at this guy, especially with the recruiting class they pulled today and all the Friendship guys that are already at Maryland, along with Stephon Diggs, who he has a close relationship with. I think it's going to come down to Maryland and Alabama, honestly. I think if Maryland can win some games, put together a decent season, get to a bowl game, we get Tabor. If not, I think he probably ends up at Alabama. So I talked to Jalen earlier this summer, and he talked about offers, he talked about Maryland, and he talked about Stephon Diggs. So let's look at the interview I did with Jalen earlier this year.
Athletes: Ohio State, Maryland, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Miami, Michigan, South Carolina. That's it. Who gonna develop me on and off the field? You know, a lot of schools talk about football more than they talk about academics, but I really want to balance. So wherever I go, it's going to develop me as a football player and a great person. I love Maryland right now. It's my hometown school. Went to a lot of games when I was younger. Always wanted to be a Maryland Terrapin. And if they start winning some games, then they're definitely going to be in it to the end. You know, they got a good recruiting class this year and last year, so they could just keep building. Then they definitely gonna be in the running. Oh, I mean, his recruitment was a big deal to Maryland. I feel as though if he didn't go to Maryland, if he didn't decide to go to Maryland, a lot of kids wouldn't be on Maryland like that. And you know, I look up to him. I feel as though he's like a brother to me. So, I mean, I know he gonna tell me what's real at Maryland. He's not just gonna size me like, oh yeah, just come. He gonna tell me what's real. So, his recruitment has a little bit to do with me as well. I feel as though I can go and play with him. So, yeah, I think it's Ohio State.
All right, there was Jalen Tabor talking about Maryland, talking about Stephon Diggs there at the end. I know they have a close relationship, so maybe that could help us get in Tabor. We'll see, but when you talk about friendship, you can't just talk about Tabor. I mean, they've got 3 or 4 other guys who can definitely contribute well on Maryland's team. The first guy I think comes to mind is just recently transferred in DeAndre Payne. He's a big recruit from H.D. Woodson, another top guy, Rivals 150 watch guy. So he's got offers again from just about everybody. And he's another, I mean, this friendship secondary next year is going to be stacked. I mean, they're going to have Tabor, they're going to have DeAndre Payne. Another guy I haven't talked about, DeJuan Funderburk. He has offers from NC State, Maryland, Boston College, and a couple others. So, I mean, you're talking about 3 guys there that their secondary is going to be ridiculous next year. I mean, one thing you don't want to do next year is pass on friendship, but their secondary is going to be shut down. So, and one other guy you got to talk about in the offensive side of the ball for them is Jonathan Hayden. Maryland's got an offer out to him. Ohio State, I think Florida and North Carolina have offers out to him. So, you got a lot of big guys on friendship next year, and Hayden is a dynamic, explosive spark plug of a running back. So you're talking about all of those guys. Funderbunk's a shutdown corner. Tabor is a shutdown corner, and DeAndre Payne's a really good cover safety. So you got to talk about all those guys being important guys for not only just Maryland to get next year, but a lot of schools are going to be coming through friendship. Already have. You've seen Coach Raheem on Twitter, and they've been saying every day that there's a new D1 school coming through. So definitely some big kids coming out of friendship next year. Next kid I'm thinking of that comes to mind is Damian Prince out of McNamara, a big offensive tackle, huge kid, 6'5", 300 plus pounds. He's probably the best offensive tackle I've seen come out in the past few years. Perfect size. He's exactly the specimen you want as an offensive tackle. He's just going to dominate you. He's got offers again from just about everybody. And he is really up in the air. I don't know. I've talked to him a couple times and couldn't really gauge where he was going to go. Hasn't taken really any visits yet, which I think he'll start to do here in the winter and the spring and summer. I'm sure he'll narrow his list down a little bit there. But that kid is a great offensive tackle. I mean, he's not the greatest technically, but obviously that can be worked on. But as far as a physical specimen, he's definitely what you look for in an offensive tackle. A couple other guys from Gilman. Gilman always puts out a couple of big-name kids every year. This year they've got 2 that I come to mind at least. They've got Melvin Keene. He's a linebacker. He's got offers from Maryland, Miami, Virginia Tech, UNC, West Virginia, and I'm sure probably more. But he's another big guy that could fill in there in 3-4, obviously, for Maryland. And he could anytime Miami or Virginia Tech are in the picture, you've got to worry. So a lot of different teams in on him. He's a big kid also, but really fast for his size. So we'll see what happens with him. The other guy is Troy Vincent Jr., another kid who's got a lot of offers, son of a former NFL player, Troy Vincent, whom I'm sure some of you have heard of. And he's another guy who Maryland is in on, plus a lot of the other schools. He's got probably 15, 20 offers. A lot of other schools in on him. So I'm not even halfway through the list, and we're already talking about 6 or 7 guys who've got more than 20 offers. So I'm going to keep going with more guys who've got lots of offers. Let's go to Good Counsel now. Good Counsel has got Sam Mustipher. He's got offers again from everybody. Another big offensive tackle. Not quite as good a physical specimen as Prince, but probably a little more technically sound. And he's played obviously in a good system under a good coach. He's got offers from everyone. Honestly, he seems like he's leaning more towards, obviously Maryland will be a Big Ten school, but they're not yet. I'm thinking he's leaning more towards the Ohio States, Michigan States. So we'll see. You never know. Maryland who knows? It all depends on what Maryland does next year, but we'll see what happens with Mustafer. Another kid they've got, a defensive end named Jesse Aboynham. He's narrowed his list down recently to Maryland, Clemson, Michigan, Notre Dame. So Maryland's in on him. They got some stiff competition, obviously, from those other schools. And Aboynham is a good prospect. He'd actually probably be he's a tweener, so I don't know if he would play defensive end or outside linebacker from Maryland or any other team. But if he played in the 4-3, he might play some end. So we'll see what happens. He's another kid who could have a really big year next year. And let's keep going. Keep in the ACC with DeMatha. DeMatha's is absolutely stacked next year. They might be the team to beat in the DMV next year. They've got 5, 6, 7 kids with D1 offers. Just a few I'm going to talk about today is Spencer Kleinreichert, a really aggressive, strong linebacker with a mean streak. He plays all over the field. I've seen the kid. He's only got a couple offers right now. I know he's got Maryland, BC, and maybe I'm forgetting one or two, but he's going to blow up by the time football season rolls around. He's going to have a lot more offers than that. He's going to hit the camp circuit hard, I'm sure, this summer, and he will definitely rack up some offers. You've got Jawan Bentley, who's got Maryland and UVA, and a couple other offers. Another kid who is a big physical specimen, kind of in the same form as Melvin King from Gilman. He kind of blew up this year. It was kind of a relative unknown until this year, but really blew up this year. You got Cameron Phillips, a wide receiver. He's got offers from UNC, Maryland, Georgia Tech, UVA, and some others. Really dynamic wide receiver, good size, and good in the return game. Could even play some corner maybe, so that's another kid to look out for. Taiwan Deal at running back, a big physical specimen. May remind a lot of people of Marcus Coker, formerly of DeMatha. Really good running back, strong kid who pairs with Mark Allen, a smaller but quick running back who's already committed to Penn State. And then the last kid I want to talk about is Brock Rubel, who is probably blown up the most out of anyone on the team. In recent weeks, he's gotten all kinds of offers. He's gotten Tennessee, Florida State, UNC, Georgia Tech, Maryland, NC State. He's got a bunch of offers, and he's just going to keep racking up offers because the kid's just huge. I mean, he plays in the basketball team. And if you go out and watch the basketball team this year, you'll definitely see him as soon as you step on the court. He's very big, 6'7", 6'8", probably 290, 300 pounds. So he's getting a lot of his offers just based on pure size. I've seen him play a little bit, and he definitely needs some work technically on the field with his footwork and different things like that. But those are definitely things that coaches can teach. So another kid that's going to blow up in the offseason this year. A couple quarterbacks I want to talk about. William Ulmer out of St. John's. Another kid who is out of WCAC, a running quarterback primarily. When I've seen him, he needs to work on his passing a little bit. He relies a little too much on his legs right now, but I think would fit in really well on a spread offense. He's got offers from Maryland, Nebraska, UNC, and Georgia Tech. So who knows? Maybe we'll see another Maryland-Nebraska face-off on signing day next year. But another kid who I've seen him a bunch of times, and he's a good player. Like I said, he needs to work on his pass-first mentality a little more, but a great player. Another kid very similar in style is William Crest out of Dunbar. He's got offers from Maryland, Ohio State, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, and some others. Very similar, very fast, athletic kid. Needs to work a little bit more on his pass-first mentality, but another kid out of Dunbar in Baltimore who's going to be huge next year. He's going to blow up even more on the offseason. Let's talk about a couple Virginia guys. The first guy that comes to mind when I'm thinking Virginia is M.J. Stewart out of Yorktown. Definitely a really athletic running back, super fast. Probably outside of Dorian O'Daniel, maybe the best running back I've seen in the past couple of years. He's got offers from Maryland, Virginia Tech, and UVA, and a couple other schools. He's super athletic. He's seen him break a couple of huge runs. Played really well against some of the best competition, including Stonebridge last year. So another kid to watch out for on the radar. The other guy is a quarterback, an actual pass-first pocket quarterback, Caleb Henderson. He's got a bunch of offers: UVA, Virginia Tech, Maryland, Michigan State, UNC, Boston College, and some others. I think he probably ultimately ends up in the Big Ten somewhere at probably Michigan State, maybe UNC in the ACC or Michigan. So we'll see where he ends up. But another big tall kid, kind of in the mold of a Ryan Burns from Stonebridge. So we'll see where he ends up. And then one other guy I want to mention out of PG County, Maryland, Marcus Allen, a safety for Wise, the defending state champions. He has got offers from Maryland, Pitt, Georgia Tech, and Vanderbilt. A very tall, rangy, athletic kid. Needs to put on a little bit of weight, but I'm sure once he gets to college, that'll happen in no time. Another kid that is going to see a lot of more offers over the camp circuit this off season. So I think I mean, what else can we talk about on recruiting day? But recruits from a year from now. So I think I'll end it there. I appreciate everyone for watching the live stream today at Avalon for Jacquille Veii. I appreciate everyone coming and watching the show tonight. And looks like we're going to be having to talk about basketball from now on. So tune in back next week for basketball talk. And I'll see everybody then. Thank you for watching.